Suicide is a difficult topic to talk about, but it's important to understand how someone can get to a point where they feel they have no other options. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 3 factors that go into why someone would consider suicide. Hi everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the difficult topic of suicide. And although it's a difficult thing to talk about, it's important to understand why suicide becomes a tangible option for people and what can be done to help. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada. And this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about suicide. Now, the thing is, suicide rates can differ by country, but here where I am in Canada, 11 people die every day by suicide. It's the leading cause of death among people 15 to 34, and it can have a profound impact on the loved ones of those left behind. There's very few places in the world where suicide isn't a tragic problem. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of misunderstanding about suicide, a lot of myths that people have and often hold about suicide. So seeing it as a choice or a sign of the person being selfish or a sign of weakness. Myths that people who are suicidal want to die, or perceiving suicidal ideation or thinking about suicide as just attention-seeking behavior by emotionally dysregulated teenagers. Now, I'm not going to get into debating the morality or religious judgments of suicide. That's not the purpose of this video. This video is about understanding a model to help explain how a person can get to the point that they view ending their life is a tangible option. Now, there's lots of models and theories to explain suicide, but I'm going to be talking about one that I like in particular, and it refers to the 3 I's of suicide. So that the idea of this model is that suicide becomes a legitimate option when a person views their situation and their suffering as intolerable, inescapable, and interminable. And I'm going to talk about what each of these mean in turn. So the notion of intolerable or intolerability, that the person views their pain and suffering as severe and awful. They can't tolerate it, they can't bear it, and it makes life absolutely terrible and excruciating. This can be emotional pain, grief, despair, and or physical pain and suffering. Now, the person feels that they are suffering, and their suffering is such intensity and severity that they just want it to stop. Now, inescapable, what this means is that the person can't see any way out of the situation or the pain that they're in. Now, this could be due to a chronic medical condition that's deteriorating and won't get better. It could be emotional suffering that a person feels has engulfed their life and that they will never be able to get away from. And finally, interminable. The person can't see an end to their pain and suffering. That their pain and suffering is going to go on forever, and there will never be any relief from it. The suffering and pain is infinite, and it's never going to stop. So, for people who are thinking about suicide, they're experiencing pain and suffering that they view as excruciating and intolerable, that they can never escape from, and that is never going to end. So with this understanding, it becomes a little bit easier to understand why someone would consider suicide. The three I's, these three I's, that pain's intolerable, inescapable, and interminable, this can lead to feelings of helplessness and hopelessness, which are some of the strongest predictors of suicide. So see, the thing is, it's not really a choice, because the person who's considering suicide can see no other choices, no other valid options. I can continue to live with this torturous, horrible, never-ending pain and suffering that I'll never be able to get away from. That doesn't seem like very much of an option. So suicide becomes what seems to be the only option left. There's no other tangible option for a person who's experiencing these suicidal thoughts. So when I'm working with someone who's having suicidal thoughts, the key is that I don't need to help them change all of these thoughts. I don't need to change all of the I's. I just need to help them change just one of the I's. So if I can get them to recognize that their pain isn't actually intolerable, that there are times when it got better and wasn't as severe as it is right now. If I can get them to see that their pain can fluctuate and at times it's not excruciating and they are able to tolerate it better, that can be a significant shift. If I can get them to see that their pain and suffering is not necessarily as inescapable, that there are things that they may be able to do to make the pain and suffering even just a little bit better. There are things that they may be able to do to change their situation and get away from their pain. That can give them a sense of hope. If I can help the person recognize that maybe their pain and suffering is context and situation dependent, and that it's not always going to be this way. One of the things I often share with my clients and remind my clients of is that all emotional states are transient. And so maybe they just need to get through this time, this difficult time, and things will get better. Because that's typically what happens with emotions. They fluctuate, they come and they go. So by changing just one of these three I's, suicide becomes less of a necessary option. Yes, the pain is inescapable and it's never going to end, but I can tolerate it. Maybe the pain and suffering is horrible and there's nothing I can do to escape it, but this is time limited and it's going to come to an end. Maybe I see this pain is awful and it's never going to end as long as I'm in this situation, but there may be things that I can do to get out of this situation. So see, just by changing one of those I's, it can have a huge impact and a huge effect on the whole situation by just giving the person a bit of hope that maybe things can get better. So if you're thinking about suicide, I strongly encourage you to reach out for help. In Canada, you can contact the Canada Suicide Prevention Service. If you're in the United States, you can reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you don't live in North America, what I encourage you to do is Google Suicide Prevention Hotline and your country's name, and you'll find information about resources and helplines that you can contact. I know it can be difficult to believe that if you're in such distress that you're thinking about suicide. I know this can be difficult to believe, but help is available and things can get better. So please, please reach out for help if you're having any of these types of thoughts. So that's it for today's video. I know it's a bit of a heavier topic, but I think it's a really important topic. I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions about this, so please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.